Hello, Mo. It's a great pleasure to have you here. Today we are at the Reuters Pharma Europe event 2025, and we have the opportunity to talk with you today about the European health data space and the role of patient data that has there. Since February, this new initiative regulation is announced and implemented. Um, what what kind of expectations do you have from EHDS regarding patient data?
So I think it's really the fifth freedom around movement of data, along with all the other freedoms of the EU. It's really about the human rights of the citizen being able to understand their data, understand their health, and they're now putting it across countries rather than just being country specific. So I think it's really powerful for European citizens. And I think when you have the weight of the whole EU population behind it, I think it will drive innovations in the EU that accelerate digital health across different countries as well.
Yes, I think the data are very important for the future to also enable patients and empower patients to have a better healthcare system.
It's the foundation. It doesn't do everything, but you can't do anything without it.
Yeah. But today, if I look into the environment, I see data very siloed, not only across different countries, of course, but also within a country.
100%.
How can this change now with this new regulation?
So the main emphasis is on trying to give the data to the patient, not to the country or the hospital or the specialist like you're hinting at. Because the real problem isn't, the EU is fragmented. The problem is all of healthcare is architected around the specialist. Everyone creates medical records around the cardiologist and the pediatrician and so on. And the more these people advance their delivery, and healthcare is very advanced, the more they fragment again and again. So the only way through this is if the regulator, the government says, no, every data set you have, a copy must be with the citizen. That is the integration unit. It's not the country, it's not the specialist, it must be the citizen. So this accelerates that transition because it's the only way to comply with the UHDS across all of those different silos.
Very interesting. If I listen to you, I'm asking myself, do you think that patients are ready to deal with this new empowerment? What need to be created that they really trust the system, that the data are not misused and so on?
I tell you the most important thing I began to realize in 2007 when I was writing a book about patients having the data. It's that patients are already the largest provider of healthcare in the world. So 80% of spending is on long-term conditions, diabetes, asthma, heart disease. And in those conditions, 8,000 hours a year, the patient is the one delivering care. They're the ones taking the pill or using the inhaler, injecting the insulin. They are the largest care provider, but nobody in the healthcare system has understood this. They think the most important healthcare provider is the physician or the nurse and so on, and they've missed the largest population delivering the largest care. So if you understand this blind spot, you suddenly think, oh, all the systems are architected incorrectly. And it's not about is the patient ready, because the patient's already doing it. The question is the healthcare system ready to understand and embrace and empower that workforce that already is delivering all that care? That to me was the big understanding that I gained in 2007.
Yeah, I'm also in contact with some patient organizations, and of course, it's very important that we listen to patients as manufacturers, but also HTA bodies, governments, especially when developing clinical trials,
Yes.
that you have the right KPIs, outcomes, and the right criteria. Um, do you think we are on the right track here to leverage patients' insights by doing clinical trial design and collecting the right real-world evidence?
We're on the right track, but we're early in the journey. So what's new is we do have technology now for the citizen, the consumer, to understand data, to aggregate data. We have very cheap storage. We have very impressive devices that collect data from the home that's better than the data in the hospital. We have AI to explain things to the citizen in language they understand, and the language they understand, the level of understanding they have. So all of these technology pieces are coming together. Now we can fix the operational differences around people thinking they have to do it with the professional rather than with the patient. But on the flip side, when you open this up, I think it's amazing innovation that will come through. I mean, I always think of what things patients have invented based on their own needs. So if you think of the phonograph invented by Thomas Edison, he was deaf, he couldn't hear. So he wanted to hear opera at home, right? If you think of the telephone, Graham Bell, his mother was deaf, he wanted to talk to her, right? So these inventions come from the user, but we're now allowing the users, when they have their data, to not just feed back, but to create technologies. That's tremendous for the whole nation.
Do you see all healthcare system stakeholders really engaging in this kind of idea to empower patient with data? For example, companies, healthcare system stakeholders, governments.
Everybody says so, but in practice, they don't. So, for example, Nordic countries culturally embraced this very early on. They're very democratic, very decentralized, very citizen focused. So they went early in this. Germany, it's more top down, more professional based. Italy, it's more bureaucratic. So, but everybody agrees that's where we want to get to. But then you move through the different cultures as the whole continent moves in that way.
Interesting. I mean, to leverage this rich patient data with all the AI tools and with the new digital innovation platforms that we have, do you see this digital inequality as a hurdle between countries, for example, so that some countries may leverage it in a different way than others?
Again, you have some countries that have fixed this years ago, like Estonia. Yeah, they prove everything for the rest of us. But the new book I wrote, Personal Health Records for Governments, which looked at 16 different countries, including Estonia, UK, India, and so on, is that every government is realizing that they have to fix this. They can't afford healthcare coverage for everyone unless they empower at least some of the people to do some of the work for themselves. That means they must have the data, must be digital, it must be easy. So they have to fix the access problem. It's not would be a nice to have. We all have to be Estonia. We all have to empower the citizen. Otherwise, in the 21st century, governments go bankrupt. So this is an emergency that must happen.
Okay. Very interesting. I mean, as we are coming a little bit to the end here, is there specific aspects which you would like to touch with EHRs, electronic health records, or patient data in this context?
I'm finding the aspect of research interesting. So just to give you my story, so I have a rare disease, and for me, transformed my life when they diagnosed me, treated me. But that was only possible when they discovered the disease in a Swedish registry that had been looking at millions of people's records over 100 years. So I'm very passionate about the benefits of research. I personally benefit from it. But I'm not the only one. Lots of people would love to contribute to research, but the bureaucracy normally stops them. So if you put the data in the hands of the patients, a lot of them would accelerate discovery, they would accelerate research, and all of society will benefit from this.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you very much for this dialogue, and I wish you a wonderful day.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you, Herbert.